Hi all, in this lab, let us understand how to create Amazon EventBridge rule for a step function target. Okay, in the previous labs, we have used CloudWatch logs and also API destination, which in turn talks to API gateway function. But in this lab, step function execution, we have to start by triggering a EventBridge rule. Okay, that is our demo. Let's get started. So we have Amazon EventBridge. By default, we will have one default bus call name called default. Okay, that means every other AWS service events will be sent to this default event bus. Okay, now we will be creating a custom event bus by name orders. Okay, and before creating any rule for the CloudWatch event bus, we have to create the destination where we want to send the events. So in this case, the destination is nothing but a step function. Okay, so there is one state machine that will be defining as a part of the step function. So we will be invoking the step function execution by triggering the rule. So we will create one rule, and this rule will have one IAM role to make a call to the step function, because EventBridge service needs to make another call to the step function service. So that is a service role that we have to create, and using that it will invoke. And then we will have one custom application, which is simple AWS CLI method in this case, to send a custom JSON event object to the event bus to this, and the rule will be invoked. The rule will be matched for this event based on the event patterns, and the step function will be executed. So this is a demo. Now let's go to the code. Okay, so in this code base, let us understand how do we use Terraform modules to create the infrastructure for creating a event bridge rule, and the necessary IAM roles, and also the step function, and how do we create an event and send an event to trigger this rule. Okay, so let's get started. So let us start with the event bridge code. So this is the event bridge Terraform module, and I'm using the latest version at this time of recording. And so I'm using the event bus, create bus true. So I'm creating a new event bus, and the bus name is orders. Okay, so it's a custom event bus, and one rule I'm creating called EU orders rule, and this is a description. So any event which is coming from this source will be sent to this target, which is step function. Okay, and the pattern what I'm using is the source has to be com.aws.orders, and in the detail section I have two values for the location field. One is EU West and another is EU East. Okay, so that means if any one of the location values, okay, is matched and the source is matched, then the rule will be triggered. Okay, and the state is enabled, so the rule is functional. Now the target case, so I'm using the same event EU order rule, which is mentioned here. So for this particular rule, so I'm creating one target. So I can have more than one target also, but in this case it is an array. So it's a list basically, and I'm just using one rule, one target, and the name of the target is state function, and the ARN of the state function is coming from this module.stepfunction.state underscore emission.arn. And I also need an IAM role to trigger the state function. Okay, so this is important. Now I'm attaching the state function policy, and so this is a list of ARNs that we are using for the state function. So this is the typical syntax to use the state function as a target. So if you come down, so this is the IAM role, and the name of the role is EB underscore core to 2 underscore STF hyphen role and some random number, and this is the IAM permission. So within the permission, the assume role is basically events.amazonaws.com. So this is the service which is going to call. So it's a principal, and with respect to the permission that we require, states colon start execution. So only one function we need the permission, and this is the API to trigger that state function execution. And so I'm giving the resources all the state functions in this particular account and region. Okay, just to make it simple so that we can leverage this role for other examples also. Okay, so this is the typical configuration for the event bridge and the rule. Now let us go to the state function code. In the state function, we are using again Terraform module. And so this is the order processing state function, and this is the definition. So the different states created in this. So it is starting at this state, and and there is a connection between the states. So we are not getting into the details of the state function, maybe some other time, but it's a simple state function to trigger. And so this is the um, one more policy that is required, because as a part of the state function execution, it's also sending an event back to the event bus. Okay, so we are allowing this IAM permission to publish an event, put an event, right, to any event buses. So there's a star resource here. Okay, so in this demo, we will not be looking at this, but we will look at that later. So this is a configuration for the state function that we are using. Okay, so now let us do Terraform init. Okay, um, and Terraform plan and Terraform apply. Then Terraform plan. It may take a while. I'll just take a pause for a few seconds. Okay, Terraform plan is completed. I'll do Terraform auto apply. Okay, so Terraform apply is also completed. Now let's go to the AWS console and see how the resources are created. Okay, so let's first go to the EventBridge console. Within the EventBridge, on the left side, you will see event buses. So there is a default event bus and there's a custom event bus. So this is what we have created, which is orders. And within the custom event bus, we created one rule called EU orders rule, and the state is enabled. The type is standard type, and this is ARN, and this is a description. Okay. So let us go to the details about this particular rule. So for this event bridge rule, so we have the event patterns. Okay, in the event patterns, you can see the details location EU West and EU East. So if one of the values matches for the location field, so the rule will be triggered. Okay, and the source is com.aws orders. And the targets, if you see, this is the target function, step function, and this is ARN, and there is a corresponding IAM role. So let us first open this in a new tab, and I'll also open this role in a tab. Let us understand how the state function looks like. Okay, so this is a state function. Let's go to the definition. So this is the definition that we saw, and it's a simple workflow. There is a start, end, and between the other two phases: process order, publish order, processed events. Okay, and so let us go to the IAM role, the one which is created. So if you look at the trust policy, so the events.amazon.aws.com, this is the principle. That means the event bridge service has to trigger the state function execution, right? So if you go to the policy, let us see the policy permission. So the function that the API that we're invoking is states colon start for execution, and it's allow, and all the state missions in this account and region we are able to provide access. Okay. So this is how we have created the infra. Now what we will do is, let's first go to the source code and send an event, custom event. So here we are. I'm creating a test folder, test-events, and this is the event name, test events folder, and event 3.1. And the values what provided is location is EU West. This is the one which is matching to the event pattern, and the source is com.event.orders, and the event bus name is order. This is important. Without this, by default it will go to the default event bus. Okay, so if you look at the file is already created. Okay, now if you see, I'm using this profile. Okay, so eCase cluster creator account one. So this is a profile which I'm using. In fact, I'm using this in my main.tf also. So I'm provisioning all the resources in a different account. Okay, and that's where I need to use the same profile to send the event to. Okay, so let me copy this and send an event. The event is sent, and this is the event ID. So let me take a copy of this, and let's go to the step function console and see if this event is received or not. So this is a step function state machine. If you go to the execution tab, you see there are three. These two I've tested earlier. Now this is the one which we just triggered the event. So if you see the time, this is this. Otherwise, we'll just search, the event ID with. Okay. So for example, if I go to the process order and search for the event. So this is the event that we have just sent it, right? Event start with 153A2, right? The same thing we are able to see here. Okay, so that means the event is received into the state function, and we are also sending one more event back. So this is for a different demo, but the idea is to check whether the state function execution is triggered by the event bridge rule. Okay, so this shows that the event is triggering. Okay, now let's do one more. Let's send one more event. So if I go to the event here, the difference is um, here we are using U West and here I'm using U East. So this also should match. So I've already created this file with this U-East. Now I'll just simply trigger this rule. The only difference is I have to use the right file. Okay. So this is the event ID. Now let me go back to the state function and check that. So this is the fourth execution, and this fourth execution is corresponding to the new event ID. So that means we are able to see two events got received into the state function, and they trigger the execution also. So this is how we can create a infra to create a CloudWatch event bridge rule to send a custom events to state to execute the state function.